In this Etoro tutorial for beginners in Europe, I'll show you how to use the desktop app to research, purchase and sell stocks or other assets on Etoro. We will use a virtual account that you can play around without any risk of losing money. Hello finance people, my name is Robert and I'm here to share with you my learnings and experiences about personal finance as a European. And by the way, if you haven't signed up with them yet, then just use my link in the video description and that way you also support my channel. Anyway, this is the dashboard and let me explain how everything works here. So once you've gone through the account sign up, you land on this page. This is your dashboard. So first I'm going to talk about depositing money on Etoro because that's probably what you want to do anyway so that you can start investing. Just so you know, in this video I'm going to use the virtual account, which means we're going to have fake money but real stock prices and things like that. So that way you can test out Etoro before you even commit any real money. But because the depositing is so important and it got a little bit more tricky in the last 6 months or so on Etoro, so I want to just clarify it here in the beginning. So if I go in the wallet, you'll notice that I have option to actually invest in euros, or if you're in UK, you could also invest in pounds, or the default option is US dollar. So obviously, if that's what you prefer, just use dollar and it'll be easier that way. Historically, Etoro has always been with dollars, but now they added this additional option to invest in euros or pounds. But what money you upload here depends what assets you're going to buy. Are you going to buy assets that are in dollars or in euros? And this is really important because anytime you convert money, Etoro will take a conversion fee. I'm in Europe, for example, and I obviously hold euros. So when I send money to the US account, or sorry, the dollar account, they're going to use some conversion fee and I'm going to lose some money just on that. And it's, however, if I'm planning to buy euro stocks or stocks that are sold in euros, in that case, that conversion fee won't apply because I'm using my euros and I'm sending them to this wallet, Etoro Money account, and it's also in euros, and then I can use that to actually buy stocks in euros. Here's how you can find out. So for example, if we look at Nokia, because it's just a good example, Nokia is in I think NASDAQ or something. We can check Nokia. Yes, it's in NASDAQ, and this here you see it's USD, and Nokia is also in the Helsinki Stock Exchange. So if I click on this one, you see .he Helsinki, you'll notice that this is actually in euros. So if I would buy this asset in euros, I would buy it in euros, whereas the other one I would buy in dollars. Most assets are in dollars, so if you're sending money to here, I would just send it directly to the Etoro dollar account. And the way you know the difference, Etoro refers to the dollars is investment account, and then the euro and pounds, they are Etoro money account. So whenever you see this, you'll know what you're doing. So from this page, what we can do, so I clicked on wallet and then scroll down and you should see investment account. And here, if you click on add funds, then you get to choose how much you want to add. Let's say it's 1,000 euros. And again, I'm adding 1,000 euros from my bank account or from my credit card. And then it's going to convert it to here. You can see it converts it at this rate to dollars. Now this rate is not the best, but this is what we have to work with. So then if you open up this, you can select what you're actually doing here. So for example, if I want to just send something quick with in Netherlands, I could use Ideal, but I could also use credit cards, PayPal or bank transfer. So these options depend on your country. And then let's say I want to do credit card, I would just fill in the details and then click on deposit to continue with it. The time depends on the payment method, and usually it's within an hour, but some of them take longer than that. For example, bank transfer might take a bit longer than that. So 1 to 2 days, I think that's what they're saying is the time you need to reserve. But usually for most of the other payment methods, it is much faster. Okay, let's now switch to the virtual account. You can just click it here on the left, switch to virtual. And basically, this is Etoro giving us some money and you can use it as you want. And again, it's fake money, but all the stock prices and the movements are real. So you're probably quite excited at this point. Maybe you want to buy something. Let me show you what type of assets you have here. First of all, you obviously have all the stocks and things like that, and you can use the search to find, for example, Tesla. And notice how there's 2 different Teslas. If you see something like .ext, that means it's somehow special. In this case, it's not a different stock exchange like we saw in Nokia, but this is actually, I'll get to this in a second, but let's take a look at the normal Tesla stock. Notice how here you have here Tesla Motors, great. NASDAQ, and US dollar. That's great. This is an actual stock and there's no modifications to it. You're just buying a stock from eToro. However, if I go to Tesla again and look for the extended, you'll notice that here you have this little CFD sign. This is something you need to be really careful with in eToro. CFDs are a contract for difference, and basically you don't own the asset. These contracts are just between you and eToro instead of involving anybody else. You're basically making a contract with eToro that if this price for this asset goes up, then they will pay you, and if it goes down, then you pay them basically. And this is not just eToro. CFDs are also on other platforms. So CFDs have higher fees because, for example, for Tesla, because it's extended, it allows you to trade even after normal working hours in the US are over. So I think the stock exchange in New York, it closes down maybe at, I forgot, 4 or 4:30. After that, normally you cannot trade this stock, but with this CFD, you can trade. But it comes with extra cost. So be always really diligent to check if it's a CFD or not. And if you're buying CFD, make sure you understand the fees that come with that, because the fees are every day. Every night you get fees for CFDs because you're basically loaning this, this contract. On top of that, you can obviously buy other assets here. So if you are into gold, you could come here and you have gold. Now, you're not buying the gold itself, you're buying just a contract for difference. So CFD, again, you see here, CFD. So there'll be additional costs with that. You also have crypto, for example, Bitcoin. Let's click on Bitcoin. Here you see there is no CFD, so you're actually buying to real asset. In any case, here you could also buy Bitcoin. And that's kind of the beauty of eToro, because you have so many different options. Now, if you're not sure what to invest in, you also have this option to discover here. And here you'll notice at the top, these are basically all the categories you can buy in. So you have stocks, crypto, indices, commodities, and so on. So there's quite a lot of them. Okay, let's say we are happy with everything and we found NVIDIA because it's been on fire lately. I'm gonna just choose the normal stock here and notice it's in dollars, although I'm trading from Europe. I would like to research it a little bit. And here you'll see some overview details just about this stock. So you have things like here, analyst forecasts, you have just information about the company itself, people also bought kind of thing. And this is kind of unique to eToro, where you have this community post here. So these are other users of eToro posting things about this specific stock. So if you're into that, I think that's the unique part of eToro. And actually one of the biggest reasons to join eToro is to have this community around it and just seeing what other people are doing. And also, if you want to, you can participate in the discussion, you can start the discussion, ask questions, and just be part of the community. And the other reason is the copy trading, and I'm going to tell you about that a bit later in this tutorial. But in any case, this is where you can see all that. If you want to research your stocks, you have also charts, so you can go deeper into that, take a look at the pricing with the candlesticks. You can see, for example, NVIDIA here, it was at this price, and then overnight, this is where it closed, and then overnight, there was big changes, so there's this big gap here. And the gaps usually happen because some news came out while the markets were closed, and that just influenced the price a lot. For example, in this case, in NVIDIA, I think it's because a new AI model from China, the DeepSeek, it came out. So then this is how the market reacted to it. And this is normal, especially for volatile stocks. NVIDIA has been quite volatile lately. And then you have also analysis. So for analysis, it just helps you to decide if you want to buy this or not. For example, analysts are saying about 97% of them are saying just buy it because it's, you know, it's hot right now. Although it just kind of had a big dip here, and I'm not sure why everybody's still saying to buy it. But in any case, here you can go through. You can even read what are people saying about it. And these are different analysts. You also have news here about specifically about NVIDIA, and then you have the financial information, which if you really get into it is quite useful because you'll see here, for example, do they pay dividends? Yes, they do. Here's how much they're paying. And then lower, you'll be able to see on what dates they pay the dividends and things like that. So quite useful information if you're researching a stock. Whenever you're not sure you want to buy it right now, you can also add it from here to watch list. So here, my watch list, just add it, or you can add it to new list. So you create a watch list for yourself. This is if you have some stocks you just want to keep an eye on. And then the watch list itself is here in the menu on the left. You can just click on it and you'll see all the all the assets you have in your watch list. Okay, but let's say we decided Nvidia is the one we want to go with. So let's click on trade here. And here you have the buy and short. So we're going to focus on buy, but I'm going to mention what short also means. Buy basically is when you buy a stock and if it goes up in price, that's good for you. That's how you make money. Short is the opposite. Basically, you're saying, hey, if this stock goes down in price, I'm going to make money. I'm not getting into details how it works, but basically you're betting against this stock. So if it goes down, then you make money. Like now, right now, Nvidia is going down and shorting it might be a good option. But if you're a beginner, I would stay away from shorting for two reasons. First of all, it's a CFD. It turns into a CFD and that way you can short it. So there's higher costs with it. And also the biggest drawback of shorting is that you can lose a lot of money because I think shorting doesn't make sense because the maximum you can make money is doubling your money. So you can just double your money. However, odds of that happening are quite low. However, the downside is limitless. So this Nvidia stock could go tomorrow to double the price and then you've lost all your money. It could also go, triple in price. And in that case, you would still just lose your money and Etoro closes the trade before you owe extra money to Etoro. So don't worry about that. But personally, if you're a beginner, I don't see why would you short because the upside is limited, whereas the downside is not. It's just better to buy it. Once you get a bit more comfortable with this, you can start shorting and trying it out just if you're curious how it works. Let's focus on buy. And let's say we want to buy this with 5,000 because it's not our money, it's fake money. So let's say $5,000. You see here, it's 42 shares. And then we have some options. I'm going to go through the easiest one first, and that's leverage. If you're a beginner, just use 1x leverage. And that means you're not leveraging it at all. You're just buying it with 5,000. If you want to use more leverage, that means you're borrowing, let's say, take the 5x. This means instead of buying the stock just with 5,000, you're buying it with 25,000 and you're borrowing the 20,000 from Etoro. Now, if the stock goes up in price, this means you're going to make more money. Now, actually 5 times more money. And if it goes down, you lose 5 times easier. So again, this becomes a CFD and it costs you more and it's much more riskier. So if you're a beginner, I would stay away from leverage, but I would say this is much more advanced strategy. So be careful with this. So I'm just going to go to 1x. Then we have stop loss, and stop loss just means that, hey, if this stock starts dropping in price, let's say it goes to 100, you see it there fading. So from 116, it goes to 100. I want to just get out of this trade. I don't want to lose all my money. You could set it from here. So for example, stop loss, you could say, if I lose, in this case, I need to say the amount. So if I lose $1,000, I want to get out of this trade. Basically, you will just sell your stock automatically. And you see here, that's the limit. That's $93. If it reaches that, then you'll just sell everything. So you can adjust from here. So we talked about limit just now. So let's say $100. When it reaches this, then it will sell the stock automatically. And then you have the option to set the trailing stop loss. And trailing stop loss is like a stop loss we just set. However, the difference is that the trailing stop loss will always follow the latest peak. So let's say you set the trailing stop loss here. That's the whatever. Let's say it's $100 here. That's our Nvidia stock. If the stock goes up, then the trailing stop loss will follow, but it will always keep the same distance from the peak, you see? And then same thing happens here. As the price is going up, the trailing stop loss follows it, and it will always stop at the peak and the same distance. So if you set $700, then it's going to be always $700 from the peak to the stop loss. When the stock starts going back down, it will not get adjusted. It just stays on that level until it gets triggered. And in this case, for example, it went up here, and then the stock price started going down, and the stop loss, that's where it gets triggered. The benefit is that if you just set a stop loss here, notice how much more money you're gonna gain if you set a trailing stop loss, because it follows that latest peak in the price. Now, with stop losses in general, be careful. I've had multiple times where I set it too low, and basically this got triggered, and then the stock just jumped back up and it went even higher than than it was supposed to be. So if you use this, make sure it's something you're comfortable with, but at the same time, it cannot be like 5% from the stock price, because that's just going to get triggered very easily. And then you have take profit, which is the opposite of stop loss, but basically you're able to say, hey, if this reaches 50,000, so 10x the price right now, then I want to just sell it and enjoy the profits. But most people just will not set this. From here, you see just the asset you're buying and the current price, and then we come to the order type. This is quite important because you have market order, which basically just means it's going to buy this stock at the current price. Whatever is available now, it's going to buy it. It's around this price. Doesn't mean what you see here on the screen, it's going to appear, but it's roughly this price. However, if you choose here limit order, this means you can limit at what price you buy it. So you buy it for, let's say, I want to buy it for 110. If I said, 110. If I set it to 110, you will just sit there until this price drops to 110, and only then it will try to buy this at that price. Now, the benefit of that is you never overpay, or at least you know what the price you're going to pay. The drawback is that it might take some time, especially if you set a big difference like this. And if the stock starts to go up in price, then you're never going to buy it. If you set this price to 120, which is higher than this price, it will just buy it at the price you see here. So limit order, you want to buy the stock as cheap as possible. So that's why you should have it under the current price, because the limit price is basically the price and anything that's cheaper than that when you're buying a stock. The next here, you have the estimate opening cost. So you have $1 here because we're buying just a normal stock. There's no other fees here. And then when you sell it, you also pay that $1. So let's buy it now. And speaking of stocks, I've started a newsletter where I share my thoughts about investing and personal finance from a European perspective. For example, a few emails back, I dove into whether you should invest in euros or dollars when buying US stocks. If you want to receive the weekly newsletter, just sign up. The link will be in the description. There you go. Now, order received. And notice how here we have the NVIDIA, and it's now in our portfolio, I think. Let me check where it is. Yes, here, pending open. This means it's just gonna wait until, first of all, the market is open. And just remember that different exchanges have different trading hours. This means if you're buying from Europe in NASDAQ, that means, let's say our time in the morning, in Europe in the morning, the NASDAQ is closed because it's night still in New York. So just keep in mind when you're buying assets that you might not be buying it immediately just because it's not available yet, because the asset is just not traded right now. And the same goes for weekends. You cannot buy any of the real assets while it's a weekend, but the CFDs, that's a different story, and they do work. And you notice here we have NVIDIA, which is just sitting there and waiting to be traded because we set a limit order of 110 and right now it's 116. So this trade will be sitting there until the price reaches 110 or lower. So let me quickly buy actual stock of this. Let's say I'm just going to buy it with 5,000. And this time I'm going to buy it with market order. So from here, market order, yes, buy. There you go. I bought it. So you'll notice I have two positions here, or actually I have one position and one order. And I want to get rid of the order because it's just confusing right now. So I'll remove that. Let's remove it. So now if I go to my portfolio, you'll notice I also have an NVIDIA here and it's now bought. And right now it's already at the loss of $2. So this is just live data right now. I already have some other assets here, so don't mind this. This is from some older videos I've made before. So this is where you would see everything you've bought so far. At some point you want to sell this NVIDIA stock, and the way Etoro calls it is close. So you close the position. So if you click on here, you'll notice that you're able to close it all. And this means you'll just sell everything you have of NVIDIA stock at the price that is the market price right now. And here you'll also notice that you have the fees here for each of the trades. For example, for this one, it's $58 already. This is because I went long with it, and I think it was leverage position, if I remember correctly. Let's see. Yes, it's 2x leverage, and you'll notice how the fees have they just rack up there. Now, I've had this quite long, so obviously the $58 doesn't matter when I made 1,800. Fake money, obviously, but still, it doesn't matter at that point. But you just need to know what you're doing before you use leverage. And just to mention, you also here have the button to withdraw your funds, and basically You just tell it to send the money to your account. You choose which account. Probably you only have one bank account linked. So you choose that and then it will send you the money, but it takes a few days to arrive. In some cases it's days, in some cases it's just hours. It really depends on the payment type and also the country you're living in. The next feature I want to show you is Copy Trader, because it's very unique to just eToro. Nobody else is doing something like this. And what it means, you can copy other traders and it will automatically just copy whatever they're investing in. So let's say we'll take a look at one of the top guys here. Say this Pietari, let's click on him. He has 10,000 followers, or sorry, copiers. And that means people are actually, they put their money into the same stocks as Pietari here. So basically what this means is this guy, let's look at his portfolio. This is all the stocks he has. So if you would now trade this or copy this trader, it would mean that it would buy all of the stocks for you. And it's proportionately to his investment. So for example, here he has quite equally distributed the stocks, at least here at the top. It will exactly the same way just buy stocks with your money. Even if you invest 100 euros, it will just do the same thing and distribute it across the different stocks here. The benefit of this is you can just copy this person and then forget about it. And the cool thing is, if you want to invest in this guy, you can research how he's done so far historically. So if I click on stats, here you'll be able to see how he's done the last 2 years and even show more. Here's all the stats. So he's been doing quite well. To be honest, last 2 years, even if you invested in S&P 500, you made pretty much the same amount. So it's not, it's nothing amazing, but he's doing about the same as S&P 500. And here he actually did really well in 2021. So then if I want to copy this person, I just click here on copy. And this one works the same as the stocks. You just save with how much. Let's say we're going to do with 3,000 and then invest. Now it's going to start copying all those trades. And if you go to your portfolio, not the person's portfolio, you'll see you have there pending. It just takes a bit of time for it to buy all the stocks that the person has. So it might take a few hours to get there, just because of the different opening hours of different exchanges. So here you will see that we already bought the ones in the Europe. Right now it's daytime in Europe, so US is not open yet. So you probably have here somewhere also pending orders. Yes, like these ones. Basically, you can copy this person, and that way all the trades, you kind of give the decisions to this person. So whenever they buy a new stock, you'll get notification, and basically you'll just buy that stock for automatically. It'll redistribute your stocks that way. It's the way I started with eToro, just so that I knew my way around. And that way I was already in the market and somebody else kind of was doing the trading for me. That said, looking at it back, I would not do it that way. I would definitely at least have part of my money invested myself, because it's better that you learn how this works and not just rely on others, because in the end it's your money. And if this guy just has a really bad year, he gambles on something and it crashes, in the end it's your money that you're losing. And obviously he made the decision and you're gonna have to suffer for it. So you can just find copy traders here, the ones you like. They have different categories here, and just you can research. But definitely look at people that have consistently performed well and also outperformed S&P 500, because if you cannot outperform S&P 500, that means you should just invest into S&P 500. And I mentioned S&P 500 a few times already, and it just means the 500 biggest companies in the US. And then they take those companies and put it all into one basket. In this case, it's an index fund, or you can also buy it as an ETF that follows this index fund. But basically, this way, you're not betting on just one company in that basket. You are betting on the whole 500 companies. And that grows about 7 to 8% per year if we look at the long time period, like 80 years or so. That's why it's widely used as the benchmark for performance when it comes to investing. And that's the cool part about eToro. If you're good at investing, you might just join here and become yourself one of these investors. And that way, in eToro, they call it popular investor. And if we look at here down, you can see that if, for example, if you have 50,000 invested in you, so other people have invested 50,000 in you, these are the benefits you make. And I think there's also some money rewards here. You can see 1.5% from your portfolio size, and the minimum is 250 and maximum 500. And here you see elite. If you have 400K, it's 1.5%. So if you have a million, then that's what, 15,000 paid annually for your performance. But there are some with 10 million, I think. And if you're one of the top guys, you do pay. You get a nice compensation for it. So this is something unique Etoro also does. I want to show you here also, you have the economic calendar, and it's just useful if you have a certain stock. You'll see here, when they have the quarterly earnings reports, because usually there's some movement in the stock either just before or after. So it's nice to see when there might be some volatility. And also here you'll be able to see like interest rate. Here you see there'll be possible interest rate drop in Europe. So on 30th of January, they're going to decide on that. So again, that's something, it's just useful to have everything in one place. And then let's take a look at the settings. In some cases, you want to make sure that nobody gets into your account. So one of the more important things I would do is the account settings. I would set the double FA. So here, security, two-factor authentication. I would definitely enable that so that you know that there's that extra layer of security. Same things for settings. I think the other thing you can take a look here is the privacy and notification, because if you don't turn this off, you're going to get a lot of emails from eToro. So maybe you want to reduce that to the most important ones. You can set them here, email, for example, just remove the ones that you don't care about. And last thing I want to mention, that if you join eToro and you invest more than 5,000, 10,000, you get this, you're part of the eToro member club or something like that. So you get certain perks here. You can take a look. It's just etoro.com/about/club. And here you'll see if you invest more than 10K, then you get certain benefits. To be honest, I haven't used any of these, but maybe you are more diligent and you actually go through these and use some of the perks you get with this if you have a bit more money invested in eToro. Now, we live in uncertain times, so I got worried about what if my broker goes bankrupt? What would happen to my money? That's why I created this video right here, where I'll talk about the protections you have if the Giro Interactive Brokers or eToro go bankrupt.